Hello! It's Chris the Frog, host of Sewer Spewer, and welcome to a new edition of my monthly video series where I talk about new releases within the punk, metal, and alt rock genres coming out of the general area of Jojage, or so called Montreal, in so called Quebec, in so called Canada. And this video will focus on releases that have come out in February 2025. Now, before we jump into it, I just need to address a few things. First of all, my first video in this series got a lot of great feedback, so thank you for that. And thanks to everyone who reached out to submit music to be included in this video. And I had to make the tough choice as to not include singles in this video, just because most of the time singles eventually end up on albums. And if I did include singles, then this video would be way too long. Also, when I uploaded the video last month to YouTube, it detected that I was using copyrighted music in the video. Thankfully, it still let me keep the video online, but moving forward, I don't think I'll be including music in this video or future videos, just because I don't want to run the risk of having my channel taken down because of copyright infringement. And I also feel that including music kind of takes up too much time and slows down the momentum of the video. So if you really want to hear the music, then go check out the playlist that I made over on Spotify, also here on YouTube, or go check out the bands on Bandcamp. Okay, I keep on talking about how I don't have time for anything, so let's just get straight into the releases in order of release date. First up, we have new D-beat band Ociosa and their debut self-titled album. And I was able to pick it up on cassette when they did an exclusive release for their very first show in early January. Ociosa is somewhat of an international band with members from Quebec, Switzerland, and Brazil, and all of the vocals are done in Spanish. But I want to give a shout out to some of the local members of the band. First off, there's Gabriel on bass, who also plays in the Quebec City band Scare, who I'll be talking about later on in the video. And also the drummer, Wawa, who has played in a dozen other bands. Shout out to him for submitting this album to be included in this video. Next is Franco post-apocalyptic grunge band Mange la Machine and their debut album, Passive Aggressif, which is available through the local label Slam Zisk. And if you want to catch this band live, they will be playing on April 3rd at Turbo House, along with Green Wing, Link 3, and Armoire, who I'll be talking about later on in this video. Next, we have sludgy punk duo Da Boom Project and their sixth album, Closer Warmer. The band started off almost 15 years ago as a solo recording project, but then grew into a duo on just bass and drums. And this album was recorded at the Apartment 2 studio in Ottawa and was mixed and mastered by Topon of the band Fuck the Facts. So if you like that band like I do, you know that the production on this album is really good. Also, shout out to Pat for submitting this album to be included in this video. Next up, we have slush punk band Thick Glasses, or as les Français say, T'es glacé, and their second album, Dans l'Abysse. Once again, this is being released through the local label Hell for Breakfast, and it has a great mix of alt rock and grunge. There's even an ambient track and a straight up hardcore track, and the last track is about 13 minutes long, and it just builds and builds and adds more noise and more layers of sound. Also, Thick Glasses will be doing a launch party for this album on April 12th at Le Ministère, along with Autre Part and Conflit Majeur. Next, we are stepping outside of Montreal to talk about the Laurentians doom metal band Cavernous and their debut album Ancestral Throes. Cavernous was born out of the ashes of the band Grails, and with this album, there's only 4 tracks, but they're all fairly long, so I count that as an album. Also, shout out to the drummer Chris for reaching out to ask that I include this album in this video. Next is experimental electronic punk rap duo Infopolis and their debut album 360 Human Z. This album is weird, but it's also super fun, and there's a lot of tracks that you can dance to. And if you're interested to see how it all comes together live, then you can see Info Police play the release show on March 28th at Cabaret Fouf, along with Tempête, Musique Sensible, and Time Ghost. Next is hardcore punk band Durex and their new cassette, Shame, a follow up to their demo, Durex Fucks. And this is 8 tracks, all about a minute long, so it really flies by very quickly, and before you know it, it's done. Next up, we have Bachelords, a hard rock band with a touch of classic heavy metal and punk, and their new EP, The Very Best of Volume B. But don't let that title fool you because these are all brand new tracks that don't appear on any previous releases of Bachelords. And I think the physical release of this EP includes 3 live tracks as well. Next, we have post-rock band Death As It Shook You and their new EP, A Kinder Hook in the Mouth. And it's been really interesting to see this band grow because I played their first show when they were only a duo, but then they have grown to a 5-piece. And there's only 2 tracks on this EP, but one of them is 11 minutes long and the other is 17 minutes long. So it really feels like an album almost. Also, shout out to my friend Jordan Barolero of No Fun Audio who recorded, mixed, and mastered this. Next is doom and bass trio Sum and their new split with Detroit sludge metal band Temple of the Fuzz Witch. And that split is called Conjuring and is available through the Toronto label Black Throne Productions. Sum is made up of 3 expats originally from Montreal who formed the band when they moved to Montreal, and they make up vocals, bass, and drums. That's it. And their side of this split has 3 tracks, all dealing with past traumas. And I want to give another shout out to Piotr for submitting this split. Next up, we have melodic death metal band Elixir and their debut full-length album, Devourer. And this has a lot of symphonic elements, and I also think the vocals on it are really cool. Next, we are stepping outside of Montreal once again to cover a band I previously mentioned in this video. It is Quebec City blackened hardcore band Scare, and their second album, In the End, Was It Worth It? I really like this album. It's dark, it's heavy, there's lots of energy, and it has these distorted horror samples in between songs, courtesy of industrial artist and longtime collaborator Ugly Bass Player. Another band that I previously mentioned in this video is emo keb band Armoire and their debut EP, Genre Emo. If you like your emo lo-fi, if you like your emo mathy, if you like your emo sad but also screamy at times, then this is for you. Coming up near the end here with punk band The Soreheads and their demo collection, The Wee Demos. And this band blends Riot Girl with surf and some garage rock, and you should keep an eye open for them because they have an EP coming out later this year. Finally, one last release that I wanted to mention, and I don't normally want to include bedroom projects in these videos because I want you to be able to go out and see these bands live, but the concept of this really intrigued me, and I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but it is Eklaska with the album Eklaska Hucknin. It is a death grind project from José Gabriel of bands Insade and Zero State and many others, and this was done for the RPM Challenge, which challenges musicians to come up with an original idea and make an entire album within a month. And the lyrics for this album are all in the indigenous language, Quechua, and it imagines a world where the Inca were able to destroy and push back the Spanish conquistadors. And it's an opportunity for José Gabriel to explore his Inca heritage. Okay, I'm losing daylight here, but if you want to hear music from most of these releases, then go check out the playlist that I made over on Spotify and on YouTube, though some of these bands don't have music on those platforms, so go check them out on Bandcamp. So thank you very much for watching this video, and be sure to subscribe here on YouTube, or if you're watching it on TikTok, follow me on TikTok, and go follow me on Instagram and on Facebook for weekly updates. But until next month, ribbit ribbit!